Two people retire with the exact same amount of money. One sleeps fine. The other checks the account balance every morning. Same number. Different retirement. So what's actually different between them? That's what we're going to figure out today. Today, we're going through 5 stages of retirement, from $250,000 to $3 million and beyond. Not as targets you need to hit. Just as 5 different financial conditions. From, can I make this work? All the way to, would another $1 million even change my ordinary Tuesday? And there's one more thing we need to make clear before we start. When I say $250,000, $500,000, or $1 million, I mean money you can actually use to support your retirement. Your retirement accounts. Your investments. Your savings. If you're planning to keep living in your home, I'm not counting the value of that home in these numbers. A house may be worth $1 million. But if you're not planning to sell it, that doesn't mean you have $1 million available to spend in retirement. But whether that home is paid off. That matters a lot, especially at the lower levels. And that's exactly where we'll start. $250,000, can this retirement work? Imagine 2 people. They both retire with $250,000 available to support their retirement. One owns a home that's fully paid off. The other is still paying $2,000 a month for housing. Same $250,000. Very different retirement. Because at this level, housing can change almost everything. If your housing costs are already low, Social Security, a pension, or other reliable income covers much of your basic spending, and the $250,000 only needs to fill the gaps. The plan may work quite well. But if that same $250,000 also has to help cover rent or a mortgage every month, the picture changes quickly. That money has a much bigger job to do. So the real question isn't, is $250,000 enough? It's, what does my $250,000 still have to pay for? $250,000 isn't a verdict. It's a question mark, and housing decides which way it points. In the U.S., the average Social Security retirement benefit is a little over $2,000 a month per retired worker. Maybe there's a small pension too. That means the $250,000 doesn't have to support the entire retirement. It fills the gaps. So what does an ordinary Tuesday look like? You cook most nights. You go out sometimes. Maybe the car is already paid for. You have time to see family. Maybe you take one modest trip a year. Nothing extravagant. But life can still be good. The problem is, there isn't much room for things to go wrong. The roof needs replacing. You feel it. The market has a terrible year. You notice. A large unexpected bill could change your plans for the next few months. So at $250,000, the number in the account only tells you part of the story. Housing matters. Reliable income matters. Spending matters. At this level, those things can decide whether the plan works at all. Now let's double the money. Because something starts to change. $500,000, life gets harder to knock over. At $250,000, one major expense can change the whole plan. At $500,000, those expenses still matter. But they start having less control over your life. You begin to get something very important. Breathing room. Your life may look almost exactly the same from the outside. Same house. Same car. Probably the same breakfast. What changes is what happens when life surprises you. At $250,000, a large unexpected expense might change your year. At $500,000, it might change your month. Then life moves on. The furnace dies. Still annoying. But you fix it, pay the bill, and eventually stop thinking about it. Your child needs some financial help. You may be able to say yes without doing quite as much math in your head. Someone suggests a more expensive trip. This time, you actually consider going. You don't suddenly feel rich. You just feel less breakable. Breathing room doesn't announce itself. It just quietly stops the small stuff from becoming the whole story. I found an interesting real-world example online. A 52-year-old had about $500,000 in retirement accounts, another $100,000 in savings and investments, no debt, and a paid-off home. He estimated that the life he actually wanted would cost around $35,000 to $40,000 a year. And his question wasn't, "How do I make more money?" It was, "Do I work another 5 years, or do I start using my 50s now?" Because he had started thinking about the trade-off. Working longer would almost certainly leave him with more money. But it could also mean leaving behind more money, while having fewer healthy years to enjoy it. His exact situation is unique to him. But the question isn't. At some point, you stop asking only, "Can this work?" and start asking, "How much more security do I really need?" Housing still costs money. Healthcare still costs money. A bad market year still costs money. But one bad event has less power to knock the entire plan off course. That's the real change at $500,000. Not luxury. Resilience. Would that be enough for you? Or would you still feel like you needed more? Keep that answer in mind. Because when we double the money again, something else starts to change. Not necessarily your lifestyle. Your relationship with money. $1 million, money takes up less space in your head. $1 million. And here's something that may be different from what people imagine. Your life may not look dramatically different. You may still live in the same neighborhood. Shop at the same grocery store. Drive the same car. But underneath all of that, something has changed. Money starts taking up less space in your head. Your family suggests a trip. Your first thought isn't, "Can I afford this?" It's, "Do I actually want to go?" Your car needs replacing. You still look at the price. Of course you do. But buying it doesn't threaten your whole retirement. And remember how important housing was at $250,000? At $1 million, housing still matters. But now it's more likely to be one part of the plan, instead of the thing that decides whether the plan works. Rent costs money. A mortgage costs money. A new roof costs money. None of that disappears. It simply has less power over everything else. That's what a larger portfolio starts buying you. Not just more spending. More room for life to be imperfect. But don't let the word millionaire fool you. $1 million is still not unlimited money. Morningstar's research suggests a starting withdrawal rate of around 3.9% for a 30-year retirement. You don't need to remember that number. The point is simple. Inflation still matters. Bad markets still matter. A long retirement still matters. But you no longer need every part of the plan to work perfectly. You have room to make a mistake. Room to change your plans. Room to say yes sometimes without checking the account first. At $250,000, life still has a lot of control over your money. As the portfolio grows, your money starts giving you more control over your life. For some people, this may already be enough. Not luxury. Just enough that money doesn't need to be part of every decision. But somewhere around the next stage, the question starts changing again. And this time, it's not really about spending. It's about work. 2 million, do I still need to work? Imagine this. You're still working. Still saving. Still adding money to your accounts. Then one Sunday, you sit down and run the numbers. And you realize something you weren't expecting. The life you actually want may already be paid for. Not some fantasy life. Your life. Your housing. Your normal spending. Your family. The things you actually enjoy. And once you know that, Monday morning feels different. That meeting you've hated for 3 years. Suddenly, you hate it a little more. The promotion comes with more money. And 15 more hours of work every week. 5 years ago, you might have said yes before your boss finished the sentence. Now you suddenly remember you have hobbies. And that job that pays well but makes Sunday night feel terrible. For the first time, you can ask, what am I still doing this for? Now, $2 million is not a magic number. Someone spending $50,000 a year and someone spending $200,000 a year are obviously not in the same situation. If you retire younger, your money has to last longer. Maybe you still have a mortgage. Maybe you want to help your children. Maybe your lifestyle is simply more expensive. Everyone's number is different. But $2 million represents an important stage. For many people with moderate spending, work can start moving from I have to do I want to? Maybe you keep working because you love your job. Maybe you work 3 days a week. Maybe you take a lower-paying job you actually enjoy. Maybe you stop completely. The point isn't that you have to retire. The point is, you may finally have the choice. Your next paycheck is no longer the only thing supporting your life. More of your life can now be supported by money you've already built, not just the paycheck you earn today. And this is where retirement starts becoming less about reaching a certain age and more about having options. So think about your own life. If you knew tomorrow that you never needed another paycheck, what's the first thing at work you'd stop putting up with? The meetings? The hours? The commute? Or maybe the job itself? But now comes an even more interesting question. Because once work becomes optional, what is the next million actually for? $3 million plus, do I still need more? At this point, the retirement question changes one more time. At $250,000, can this work? At $500,000, can I handle the surprises? At $1 million, can I stop thinking about money so much? At $2 million, do I still need to work? But once your assets are comfortably beyond what your lifestyle actually requires, the question becomes, do I still need more? And $3 million isn't a magic line either. For someone with very high spending, it may not be enough. For someone with modest spending, they may reach this stage long before $3 million. So think of $3 million plus as a condition, not a rule. Your money can already support the life you actually want. Now another $1 million would obviously make you richer. But would it make your ordinary Tuesday much better? That's a different question. More money still buys real things. More travel. A larger safety margin. More ability to help your children. More protection against expensive long-term care. More money to leave behind. Those things matter. But the change is no longer as dramatic as it was before. Going from $250,000 to $500,000 can change whether one bad year threatens your retirement. Going from $500,000 to $1 million can dramatically increase your margin. Going from $1 million to $2 million may change your relationship with work. But once the life you want is already funded, each additional dollar may start changing your everyday life less and less. I found one story that captures this perfectly. A tech executive in his late 40s had built a net worth of around $5 million. He was earning about $2.5 million a year, but working roughly 80 hours a week, in a job he didn't like. And his question was simple. Would you walk away? Another year would make him richer. But staying had a cost too. Time. Energy. Health. Years. Once you've moved beyond, do I have enough? The question becomes, what am I trading to get more? Imagine your own number was $2 million. You reached it. But you kept going. $2.3 million. $2.6 million. $3 million. $5 million. Maybe even $10 million. Financially, you're richer every step of the way. But does your ordinary Tuesday improve at the same rate? Probably not. And that's the point. Maybe those extra years were years when your spouse was still healthy enough for the trips you kept saying you'd take someday. Maybe your parents were still around for those ordinary Sunday phone calls. Maybe your kids still had time for you before their own lives became too busy. Those things don't show up on a retirement calculator. We're very good at calculating one retirement risk. What if I stop too early? What if the market crashes? What if I live to 95? What if healthcare gets expensive? Those are real risks. Plan for them. But there's another risk. What if you stop too late? What if you finally reach the biggest number you can imagine? And the life you were saving for has already changed. Money compounds. Time doesn't. So which stage are you actually saving for? $250,000. Can it work? $500,000. Can it take a hit? $1 million. Can I stop thinking about it? $2 million. Do I still need to work? $3 million plus. Do I still need more? And that's why these numbers were never really the point. They're just an easy way to describe 5 different financial conditions. Your numbers may be completely different. Maybe work becomes optional for you at $1.5 million. Maybe it's $3 million. Maybe it's more. Which is why starting with the number may be the wrong way to think about retirement. Most of us do exactly that. I need $1 million. I want 3. And then we spend years chasing a number before we've even decided what that number is supposed to buy. Try doing it the other way around. Don't start with, how much money do I need? Start with, what do I want an ordinary Tuesday to look like? Who are you with? What are you doing? What would make an ordinary week feel like a good life? Then ask, how much does that life actually cost? Because the goal isn't the biggest number you can imagine. It's enough money to support the life you actually want. With enough time left to live it. So which stage are you saving for? And where is your enough? If you know your number, or even just what you want retirement to feel like, tell me below. The expensive mistake isn't choosing the wrong number. It's spending decades running toward a finish line you never actually chose. And if you're building your finances now so you'll have more choices later, subscribe. Because that's what this channel is about. Build wealth now. Retire with options later.